What's your feeling on Friday morning and
I'm good.
us continuing the series? You think we can come up with six more conversations?
Yeah, there are a lot of, kind of like in the Ted Lasso thing. I'm actually hoping they get talked into doing another season or two because so many stories, just like what we're doing, there are so many underlying reasons and things that go into how to choose the right tennis academy and making sure that man, there are so many items on the plate that it could be a continuing process that changes with time too.
Yeah, and that's where I've got a few other projects like the 10 minutes of tennis and other people I'm
Sure,
talking to. I got a tennis fitness guy coming in. I got a mental training guy I'm talking to. I'm going
sure.
to work with him once a week as well. But you're already in. You've already got Fridays. I'm enjoying it. I'm just making sure we
Yeah,
don't, because if we need to sit down and come up with the next six,
sure.
then we can start again, even if we take a
January or
couple weeks
something.
off in January,
Yeah,
start again
yeah,
mid-January and keep it going. Because I think this is going to be good for the parent.
yeah. Oh, I
Uh,
agree. Yeah.
just a matter of, are you good Friday mornings for six more weeks?
Yeah, I don't really have I got up, go down and get a cup of coffee, and I get my second cup that's sitting over here on my desk. And then when I get through with you, I'm going down to get on the trainer in the garage and go at it. It's
Okay.
you know.
All right. Well, then we will plan on that, and then I will figure out how to with you. It's a little bit better, so we're good. What our next six are going to be.
Okay. I'll sit and think about them while I'm on the bike.
Yeah, if you can come up with six more yourself, that's fine. The first six we came up with in conversation.
Sure,
I
sure.
don't think you were saying, okay, here's number one and here's number
Right,
two. It was
right.
more of let's talk about it and I write it down and we talk about it and I
Oh
write
yeah.
it down. So sometimes in collaboration it's easier to do,
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
if not always. All right, so we will transition and not in that left coast kind of way. We're going to transition from the card to actually being here. So I will say good morning. I am Shaun, and we are with Dave Mathews, and we are talking about how to choose the right junior academy. This is our Friday morning series. Dave and I, we've been listening in the background and Instagram and YouTube that go live a little bit sooner. You've heard that we just decided to do six more of these. So here's a fun thing we can do. If you have a question that might pertain to how to choose the right junior academy, or you've had an issue, whether you're a coach, a player, a parent, send me an email, Shaun, Shaun, at tennisforchildren.com. Should be pretty easy to remember. And we'll do a whole conversation about that question because we want to answer the best questions. We come up with it from our point of view of what we think are the questions, but also what we think the advice should be. But hey, you know what? You got an idea? Give us a call, let us know, or send me an email. Like I said, Shaun, Shaun, at tennisforchildren.com. So, Dave, today's conversation is making sure that we are actually unmuted and live everywhere, which is always good. And we're good. So this is a home operation. We'll just put it that way. All right. So, Dave, propellers. We are talking about the helicopter parent and the propellers of the parent that just kind of hover over their child. I'm going to let you run with this because this was one of yours that every once in a while we have a conversation and Dave just yells, "Turn off the propeller." It's just there in the background. It's a consistent issue with parents these days. Now, I'll start first because I want to compare. When I was playing tennis, I was 15, 16 years old. My parents weren't there much. It was a different time. Did you see the propeller parent then, which is years ago? Did you see the propeller parent then, just not as often, maybe not as bad? Clearly, it's a phrase we invented within the last couple of decades, maybe.
Sure.
So start with the difference between then and now, and then we'll jump into how to help.
Um, I don't think. And I'm not, I think part of it is, part of that comes from the era that you're in, no doubt, puts you in a certain frame of mind. I think the way the society now has evolved over the last couple of decades, like you were saying, I think I can get anything I want by screaming society that's out now. I mean, you hear about it when people get on airplanes all the time. I read an article today about a guy getting kicked, in the back in his seat, on an airplane, and he keeps asking the mother, kind of subliminally to get control of your kid. And finally, there's like 6 or 8 people around the kid that finally just says, "Ma'am, parent, do your parent. Stop the kid." She goes, "Do you know how hard it is to control a kid on a plane? Well, your option is don't fly." And we think that we can holler enough to where we get exactly what we want, and we think what we want as a parent of a tennis kid is best for them. You don't have a clue. And so you're screaming. Actually, I've had parents that they'll come where I teach now, and there are bleachers right there outside the fence, and we don't let them in the fence. You sit outside on the bleacher, and the first time you holler something to your kid, we have parents that'll come over to the fence and talk to their kid, and that happens once. And we walk up to them and casually say to them, "Please let them be in the class and get out of the class what they can. And we're not ignorant of what they're doing. We're not going to talk. You know me, I'm not the kind of guy that'll say something every time you hit a daggone ball. I'm trying to get you out of your way, and I'm dang sure trying to stay out of your way to let you be who you are. And I can watch you over a little period of time and then kind of come to you and say, 'Shaun, your forehand sucks,' or da, 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 da. But at least then you're going to know that I've given you that interest. I've been watching you, hit against somebody else or ball machine or whatever. It doesn't matter." And so, I think that part of it, yeah, I think, like you said, to judge it, I think back in your day, not only do I think parents are still as busy as they were then. I think back in the probably, I would say 80s is where it started being more of the 2 household incomes, because I don't know if that was inflation. Don't know if it was just people wanted to get busy. Moms who were normally at home wanted to all of a sudden start looking at a career and felt better about themselves or whatever. All that's a good thing if that's what you want to do. I do know there were some families still in the 80s and 90s, and still today, some of them that still do. The mom is more at home, taking care of the kids, getting to and from school. And that's nothing wrong. If your situation allows it and you want to do it, do it. But I think our society now, they're more acceptable to people hovering over their kids. And I don't think they really have thought it through how it can actually hurt your kid a lot. Not only from the coach's standpoint, being able to do our job, but also from a social aspect of all the other kids in the class are looking at you going, "Hey, Billy, why don't you get your mom to shut up?" You don't think it happens. You wait till that 5 minutes when you go to the restroom and you come back and your kid has a whole different look on their face because of what was said in the back of that line. And it happens. It's just like school. Like my boy, we were just talking about, this show, there's a bullying instance, and one of the team members comes up and goes, "Hey, are you going to do anything about it?" And he goes, "No." And he goes, "Really? Why not?" He goes, "So the last time I remember bullying and when I was in school and the teacher said something to the bully about it, you only aggravated it. You only made it worse. You're going to have to learn to stand on your own 2 feet, turn off the helicopter, turn off the propeller, and let it take care of itself. You have to learn to stand up to those people. Some way, some facet that you have, get it. And unfortunately, in today's world, too many parents think they can solve their problems, and all they're doing is putting salt on a wound. And, times change, names change, but a lot of the problems remain the same. Social media, yeah, could make it 10 times worse. But guess what? Nobody said you had to click send. So, that's one thing parents of today has got to do quickly is tell your kid, spend about 15 seconds before you hit the send button and think of the ripples in the water you're going to create by hitting send on that social media. Or do you let them have it? All that. So it is definitely a different time. I think your parents back in those days, they were busy, just like parents are now. But I think that they trusted what Shaun saw and wanted to do. They trusted it. And I'll tell you right now, if you would have come up and said, Mom, I don't like Coach Dave, I want to trade it, academies or whatever, your mom would have told you right then and there. It's a different backbone, I'll put it that way. Your mom would have said, you go tell Coach Dave you're changing academies. You tell him, and you tell him why. And they would have made you, quote, man up. Go do what you just do should be done, which is the right thing. And, I've always told you from the get-go, you want to change academies, you find a better place it doesn't have to be cheaper, a better value for your dollar that's better for you. I'm always going to pat you on the back and say, shake your hand. I wish you well. Go be great. That I can somewhere down the road say, I remember Shaun when he was 15 and he blew up at 17 because he went and made a good move. That's all you can hope for. But that's I was just writing down. We were talking about topics, six more topics. I got one. So I think times have changed. I don't think parents of today, number one, like we said in one of our previous things, they don't ask enough questions of what the pros. What are their credentials? Who have they coached? What is your coaching style? Come out and sit for an hour and watch. Just sit and watch. Get you something to drink. Get you a little snack. Sit over there and watch for an hour. If it ain't what you think you're looking for, move on. It's okay. If it's within your driving time, go look at another one or two or three or four, but take your time, But, I think times have changed from that perspective. I think there are a lot of propellers running in today's world. And I think part of that can be solved by the parents just getting back a little bit, get back away.
And maybe it's not turn off the propeller. Maybe it's just slow down a little bit, take a step back. I can relate right now in a way I've never been able to relate. I've always been taking care of other people's kids, running tennis for children. I'm around kids all the time. I always thought I'd probably be a good parent. But man, watching my 1-year-old run around and aim his forehead at pointy things all around my house is a new level of terrifying.
Sure.
That it's new to me. I've never experienced it. And then I think of my stepson, and I think of him running into burning buildings as a firefighter and as a Seaburn Marine. And I just wish and hope and take care of yourself, kid. And I think of my stepdaughter in Puerto Rico, and we can't be there and protect and save. You gotta send the kid out on their own. I can think of multiple stories, but I can go back even to one of our human history stories of, get out of the tent, get out of your parents' tent and go stake your world, go make your life. And you got to get out there and do it. And that is hard for a parent because it is scary. Now, I think maybe that propeller is fear. Maybe not necessarily that I know best as a parent, because when you become a parent, you get a little more humble than you were the day before.
Oh, sure.
That's a new thing for me as well. But
sure.
We also know that we know more than our kid. So we're always trying to advise and help, and that's good. But we do have that fear to say, okay, wait, don't hit him with the tennis ball. oh, be careful, little Johnny, be careful. And I get that. I now get it in a way I never got it before because
Sure.
my job was to keep your kids safe and something happened that'd be bad. But now my job is to keep my own kids safe, and that's a different thing. So my propeller around the house is because he's one. Once he's seven and he's got a top spin backhand, or in our case, what we see a lot is he's seven and he can't hit the ball with a stick. You need to be able to not be on court. We do that with our parents. We say, sorry, I'm going to ask you to go sit somewhere else because I need to spend time with your kids and they need time away from you. And I don't need you hanging on the fence saying, oh, come on, you got to swing, you got to follow through, do what Coach Shaun says. That's not helpful.
Right.
And at an academy level, it's the same thing. You're still picturing that child as the kid that needs you. But other than just sitting there and clapping and say, yes, good job. That's, in our opinion, maybe more of what they need. That doesn't mean you can't get to them in one giant leap if something goes horribly wrong.
Right.
So maybe it's a step back and look and watch and trust your child and trust your coach.
Oh, absolutely. I think, I hate to say it. I remember the first kid in Atlanta that I coached, and I moved here from Denver. It had a pretty good academy in Denver for about 3 years. I had a kid here. We went down to DeKalb Tennis Center. He was playing his first little level, whatever. Now it would be like a level 6. And, and he gets through with the match. And you know me as well as anybody. I knew he had lost, but he came off the court. And the first thing I said was, how did you play? And he says, I lost, and I said,
that's not what I asked.
I didn't ask you if you won or lost. I asked you, how did you play? Mm-hmm. I said, you know how well you can play at a 50 to 75% clip. And you know what your greatest day looks like because you've had one about once every 6 months or a year. You don't happen that often. I want to know, could you, based on your level of play, what you think you can and can't do, did you play at 70 or 75% most of the day? And he goes, no. And I said, okay, that's why you lost. And he looked at me. I said, now, we take this, we go to the next round, and no matter who you play, I want you at 75%. You're going to hit some great shots. Understand that ain't 75%. That's 90, 95, 100%. But I want you at 75 so that we can win some matches. And it's not the winning that I'm after. I'm after your level of play. Input equals output. And the winning will take care of itself. The losing will take care of itself. But you need to get to that level. Then we can raise that 75% to be a better 75% and stay there and consistently play that level. You're going to beat all the players you should beat. And we keep raising that and we're going to get there. But it's not going to happen tomorrow. So that's where I think, I do know certain small cases in my history of watching people play literally within a year. There was a guy back in the 80s named Mark Dixon who wound up just blowing up literally within about not even 18 months. It was like 13, 14 months, went to USF or University of Tampa, freshman, lost his first 4 matches in college. And then all of a sudden went on about an 18-match win streak where everything just started to click. And everybody was asking the coach, what happened? And he goes, we don't know. Where he just started, he got in that trough where he was picking the right shots. They worked. He knew he could make them. He started making them, and everybody just got out of the way and watched him blow everybody off the court. I mean, he's beating SEC champions, beating everybody you played, and he wound up going out, I think, out of his freshman year on the Pro Tour, wound up in the top 20 in the world, like within 14 months. And you just don't know what clicked, but you kept going to work every day. You kept not getting in your way and letting it ride. And all of a sudden you get in that trough and don't look up like my boy Roy Kent says, don't talk to me about a win streak. We just get in them and we let them go. You just keep riding it. And, I think that's the problem that people don't do. Like you said in one of our previous conversations is they don't ask enough questions to start with. And then they want to think that them coming up on the fence saying, Shaun hit that topspin forehand like we talked about, la la la. That ain't helping. That ain't helping. You got to step back and watch that kid, watch him do his thing over a small period of time. And, one thing that I've made sure of, not only with all of y'all and all the kids that I've coached, but even my own, is that when they get in the car, which is a hard thing to do when you are the transportation, to and from the academy, is talk to them about anything other than tennis when they get in the car.
That's great. Just hey,
what
are we doing tomorrow?
Yep. Are you hungry? Do you need something to drink? What else you got to do today? Do you got some studying done? Online tutoring, something like that. If they want to talk to you about their tennis, they will let them say something first. If you do that, you're going to keep yourself out of that rat hole of, mom and dad never being quiet about tennis, and that's all they care about, la, 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 la. And that, let me tell you, that causes a bad scenario.
Be a parent. Be a parent. I remember the last basketball game I played, and I will apologize now for my horrible 12-year-old language that I will tell the story now. And I got in the car, and I was 12 years old, and my father looked at me, and he said, "I can't believe you missed that layup." I said, "You know what, Dad? Screw the layups." My last basketball game.
Sure.
Now, that's not me blaming my father for doing something wrong. I think I was also looking to go do something else.
Yeah.
But it was, I couldn't just get in the car and not talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, just diffuse. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And in my first USTA match, my first two USTA matches, I'm playing a tournament. I'm winning my Alta matches. I'm 12, playing in the 18 unders, right? And my first two USTA tournament matches, didn't win a game.
Yeah.
0-0, got knocked out, got in the car crying as a 14-year-old male.
Sure.
And thankfully, it was my mother that time that had a little bit more of, I'm just going to take us home.
Sure.
And then I said, you know what? I didn't enjoy that, but I'm looking forward to going to practice again on Monday. And it was a parenting move that I appreciated. My father was also the basketball coach. So he was also still in coaching mode.
Right.
And we as coaches struggle to get out of that. And remember, you got to get back into parenting mode.
Oh, absolutely.
If you are a parent, please maintain your lane. If the coach needs you to do something and be on the same team and say, hey, can you help me reinforce something? The coach will come to you.
Right.
Now, this is one of the good places where you should have a good mentor. You should have already checked them out. You should be able to trust that coach and the group around. And if they're getting bullied, you can go to the coach. That's fine. There are plenty of bullying stories out there. That's part of the deal. But you being around, the last thing I want is my mom fixing my problems when I'm 14.
That's right.
That is not what I need. And the coach can work on some of those things. But at some point, you know what, 14-year-old kid? This is a little old school advice, but at some point, you got to figure that out. Whether you go to the coach, you go to the other players, you go to that person that's doing something and say, let's negotiate my way out of this. That was always my thing. I could kind of talk my way out of anything.
Yeah.
For the most part. But I still had pine cones thrown at me walking home from the bus in middle school. Nobody had a good middle school experience. But what I didn't need was my parents coming out of the house making it worse.
Getting more pine cones thrown at you.
Yes. Yes. And it's a strange thing. And it's hard as a parent to watch.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard as a parent to watch. And I just think of I got two things that we'll finish up with. My favorite story of the 10-year-old that walks up with the big bag and says, hi, I'm little Shaun. I'd like to check in for my match. You know what, parents? Let your kid check in themselves. Let them figure it out. I don't know what to do. Go. Figure it out. That's the first thing that makes your kid take care of themselves. Carry your own stuff. Carry your own bag. Kids come off and they hand their stuff to their mother. And I yell, no. Carry your own damn bag. Don't just hand your stuff to your mother so you can go jump on the iPad. Doesn't make any sense. Right. And then I read a book. It was a Jordan Peterson story. And like him or not, doesn't matter. It's a great story. He was getting in a fight. It was the end of his bullying scenario. And he was however years old. And he saw his mother in the background looking at it. And he was getting ready to have that altercation. And she saw him, turned and looked and walked away, and he got his butt kicked that day or whatever happened there, but he was thankful that his mother let him go through it. Now,
Right.
that's not how society really likes to operate right now, because we think if we make a law or a rule that fixes things. But in
Right.
this case, this is real world. You're on the court. You got to handle those things. Tennis, golf, the individual sports make you responsible for yourself, how you treat others,
Right.
how you learn from the mentors around you, and how you can look over and see your parents over there supporting you and ready to save you from something terrible. But the little things that you need to take care of as a kid, especially from a male point of view, to go become a man,
Right.
female to become a woman. I don't know that coming of age thing for the female, because I'm a man.
Sure.
That's what I know. So I can't relate to that. But as a
Right.
man, you know what? You need to be able to handle that. And I would love for the helicopter to be way off in the distance there in case I call and say, Mom, help.
Yep.
Maybe just take a step back.
That's I wish more would, because it seems like the landing pad is getting very crowded. It's getting scary. But yeah, I see it in all areas of life. You know, you're going through a drive-through, and it's just everywhere. You know, and we yeah, and I think sometimes we as a good part of society, I think we get kind of worn out that if we say something to somebody of how to be a little more cordial, or be a little nicer, or get something done a little simpler, people look at you like you're calling them stupid, and you're not. You're just trying to help sometimes. And it's the same thing. You know, I walk over to a parent and I say, you know, you're really embarrassing your kid by being on the fence, and nobody else, all the other parents have left their kids, might be sitting in the stands. Some of them, we tell them, hey, you got something you can go do 15, 20 minutes away, and your kid knows your phone number in case something happens, go do your thing. Kill two birds with one stone. You ain't got but so much time in a day anyway as a parent. And if you're not the only kid, you got other things you're doing too. That other kid's off doing something else. So, you know, you really have to be, you can be more functional as a parent, but you have to let go of some of that propeller.
And if we stick with the metaphor here it's probably an analogy, sorry, of the propeller, and you think about all the parents and all the propellers, you know what happens eventually to those parents?
Yep.
My propellers are bumping into your propellers. Now we got a whole new problem.
That's right.
A whole new parent problem. You know what, guys? Step back. Dave Mathews, how to choose the right junior academy today. You know what, parents? You don't necessarily have to turn off the propeller. I know it's always running. It's a background thing. I am now familiar with it a little bit, so I can empathize for the first time in my life, but take a step back. Let's take a step back. Let's let them skin a knee. Let's let them go through what they need to go through to figure out how to take care of themselves. Dave, thank you so much.
You bet, buddy. Yes, sir. Have a great day.